Okay, I'm live. Had to grab a couple of last minute things. Yeah, I almost forgot it was Tuesday today. For some reason, been doing my thing all day, working on stuff, and about 4 o'clock it dawned on me, it's Tuesday. Should be doing a show tonight. So luckily I managed to get myself together and get this put on instead of remembering about 8 o'clock at night and people wondering what's going on. Anyway, uh last week somebody asked me about Pyrex stuff. So I decided tonight I'll show you some more of my Pyrex things that I have. I think I've done something similar to this before, but I got some fairly cool Pyrex things. Most of my cookware is either cast iron or glass, and there's a huge amount of Pyrex stuff out there, and a lot of it's really cool. A lot of it's really interesting. Some of it has different patterns on it, more of the mixing bowls and serving ware and things like that. There's a lot of them that have different colors, different patterns, and some of them are really collectible. They go for quite a bit of money, and a lot of people are pretty interested in it. So, just a minute here, I got something on and beeping at me. Let me shut this off for the moment. There we go. But Fred Revels is here. Johnny Waring, Mary, nice to see you guys. Cynthia Wesley, Mike Newby, Janet Batista, Gloria Darla Allred, Randy Duffy, Billy Lee, you guys, good to see you. R.T. Scott, Dan, Prairie Queen. Prairie Queen is trying to figure out. I was on a different stream earlier, just hanging out with some friends and teased them a little bit with what I was going to show some of you guys tonight. And she's trying to figure out what it was I was showing to them. But anyhow, the Pyrex stuff, like I said, there's a lot of different colors. I got this one mixing bowl. This is just a solid green. It's got some scrapes on it, and it's not perfect condition, but I don't really care. But they made a lot of different colors of this sort of thing, and they had all kinds of different patterns on them. So, yeah, you were pretty close, Prairie Queen. I'll show you here in a minute what that was all about. Like I said, more of the mixing bowls and serving ware. They go for a lot. Some of them go for a lot of money. I mean, they're fairly scarce patterns, a lot of demand for them. I don't know anything really about collecting stuff like that, so I couldn't tell you what it's worth. But you can still find, usually the solid color, more plain mixing bowls, pretty reasonable price, and they're real nice bowls. You can pour out of either side of them. It's got a small spout and a big one, and I really like it. I'd like to be able to find one bigger than this, more for mixing kneading bread and something like that. I don't know if they make bigger ones than that, and if they do, if they cost a fortune, I'll just have to keep my eyes open and try to remember what size this one is when I get out and about. I think it's a 4 quart. Yeah, so I don't end up getting the same size again. But eventually I'll get kind of a set of these and get rid of some of my old hodgepodge of mixing bowls and serving bowls that I got. Be kind of neat. But most of the Pyrex I have is clear Pyrex, or reasonably clear. And you've seen the coffee pots, the Pyrex coffee pots. These things are great for, they make the best coffee. It's really something. You wouldn't think it'd make that much of a difference having an all glass. The only metal in this is the top and bottom of the basket. The lid of the basket is metal, and so is the bottom of it. But the basket itself is, and it's just old fashioned perked coffee, and I love it. That's the best way to make coffee. It's got this glass stem. These are the Achilles heel of a Pyrex coffee pot because they're fragile, they break easy, and they're kind of tough to find. You can find them on eBay, but a stem alone will sell for anywhere from $20 on up to 40 or 50. Sometimes it's cheaper. You can find an entire coffee pot for $40, and it's cheaper just to get the stem. Are they microwavable? Not the ones that have metal on them. This has got a stainless steel band that holds the handle on, and like I said, the top and bottom of that are metal, so you wouldn't be able to microwave that. But a lot of the Pyrex stuff you can microwave because Pyrex is a high temperature type of glass. It can take a real, it can take a lot of heat, so you're not going to have any problem with it. And the lids on these coffee pots and some of their other stuff too, they got 2 tabs on it. You hook one under the rim, drop one in the spout, and you give it a turn, and the lid stays on. Keeps you from dumping your lid off when you're pouring coffee. They made 3 sizes of this type of coffee pot. This is a 9 cup. That's the biggest one. They made a 9, they made a 6 cup, and a 4 cup. And they're all this style. But they also made a couple of other style coffee pots. They made this one later on. It's more just a tall version of the other one. It's got the same kind of shape to it. It's just taller. I think that's like a 9 cup too. Or maybe it's a 6. But the thing is, the stems on these are different sizes. I forgot to mention that. Even on the regular ones, there's 2 different baskets. Let me show you here. If you're looking for stuff like that, there's 2 different types of baskets. This is for the 3 or for the 4 and the 6 cup. And you see it steps down. It's got a regular size bottom. The bottoms are all interchangeable on any sizes. These are all the same. So the bottom of this is the same size as a 9 cup basket, but the top is smaller. And it's got a smaller lid. Let me get this back together and I'll grab the basket out of that 9 cup. The 9 cup ones are a little bit different. The top and the bottom are the same size. You can see it's got kind of a bulge in the middle, but the top and the bottom are the same size. Like I said, the bottoms are all the same size, but this one uses a bigger lid for the basket. So that can be kind of confusing. And the stems are a different length on the 3, 6, and 9 cup coffee pots, of course. A lot of them, the pots anyway, have a part number, and you can match up the, show me your bottom again. Oh, there's the bottom. Like I said, the bottoms of the baskets are all the same. And a lot of times you can match up the part numbers, but as long as you remember the 9 cup is the same size on both ends, and it's the same basket for the 4 and the 6 cup, but it's got a big end and a small end. Anyway, let me put this apart. Get back together. Anyway, enough about stems. And like I said, this is kind of a tall version of the other style, but there's one more, which looks like this. It's tall, it's a little bit skinnier, but it's got like 3 little kind of ripples in the top. And again, it's a different length stem, but that uses the 6 and 4 cup size basket in there. But the stems for these are really hard to find. I don't know if they didn't make nearly as many of these as they did the other ones, but these are kind of tough finding. I don't know if you can see it. The glass has kind of a bluish tint to it. A lot of the Pyrex does have a bluish tint to it, and some of it has a slightly yellowish clear tint to it. I don't know if it's because they changed the formula over the years for the glass or exactly what it is. If the blue ones are older maybe, but they are pretty cool anyhow. Next thing I was going to show you is I got get over here, they made Pyrex teapots. These are real handy little deals. I don't know what that is, like a 4 or maybe a 6 cup. And it's the same lid as on the coffee pots, but that's also got a little bit of a bluish tinge to the glass. And these are nice. I mean, they're great for if you've got to boil up broth or something like that. And they're pretty handy little deals to have. You can find these fairly easy. They're not terribly expensive. But the thing I showed earlier on that other stream, Prairie Queen is looking at, is this. Now what this is a handle. for these things. These you can see are definitely got a strong blue color to them. These are different sized bases, and the handle simply, whoops, try to do this one-handed. The handle goes on there, and you lock that wire bail on the side. There's a little catch in there. You lock it together, and you got yourself a little frying pan. There's this one here. Then they kind of go up to this size. I think I got two of that size. And then there's an even bigger one. I haven't used it as a frying pan, but I have used, the bigger ones for saucepans, and they work pretty neat. And like I said, the handle just comes off, and you just lock it onto your next one, and you got yourself a saucepan. That's a pretty slick little deal, I think. Like I say, I'm not sure how well it's showing up on the camera, but these got a very distinctive blue tinge to them. And they're all Pyrex, and this is I think this is a 2-quart. Yeah, Pyrex Flameware. Doesn't say exactly what size that is, but that's a couple of quarts, and it makes for a nice little deep pan. And they're pretty cool, just like that. And yeah, you can just interchange your handle onto different size things. Let me get these guys all put back together. Like I said, I haven't tried frying in that yet, but I'm sure you could. I've used it for used them for saucepans. And speaking of saucepans, got an actual saucepan. It's got a pour spout on it. And again, this has the lock and lid on it with the little ears. Locks onto there so it doesn't fall off. I got two of these. There's two sizes that I know of. There's this size. Does that say how many quart that is? 1.5 quart. And then there's one that's probably about half again as tall. So I'm guessing that's probably a 2.5 quart. I keep forgetting Pyrex. You can read it the right way around if you look through the inside, because looking at the back, you can see it's backwards. Anyway, yeah, that's a 1.5 quart. So the other one must be 2.5 quart, and it's deeper. And these are, like I said, these are really great for saucepans, because you can make your sauce and you got a nice handy dandy pour spout on it. Okay, get that set aside. And the one last thing is the double boiler. These are really nice. I mean, I like the Pyrex double boiler. Something I've noticed, some of the pans, they have this little ring on them, little steel ring, and some of them don't even have a hole for it. So, I've seen a couple of them that have and a couple that don't have them. So I don't know why they put it on there or why they took it off. But these are kind of nice. The lids don't lock on these. It's just a round lid that sits on top. But you can use either part of this for a pan, for a saucepan or a soup pan. You can use the bottom. I mean, that's the easiest one. You can just put your lid on the bottom, because the lid does fit the bottom. Whoops. And you can use the inside of it too for a slightly smaller saucepan to cook in. I see these more often than I find the bottoms by themselves. Sometimes you find as a double boiler, but I'll see them separate every once in a while, and I see the insides a lot more often, I suppose, just because it's a odd shaped thing. And somebody using this for a pan probably broke this and eventually got rid of the insides. But the inside works just fine for using it to cook in if you want to make some soup or something, and make a nice little pot. And like I said, the lid fits on both parts of it, so you definitely got a lid. I loaned out your double boiler and the lid got broken. You can probably find them on eBay. There's quite a bit of Pyrex stuff on eBay, or keep an eye out I don't remember seeing a lid separate for the double boiler though. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but more than likely eBay would be your best bet if you need just a lid or something like that. And that's pretty much, I think that's everything I had laid out. But yeah, I mean, I really like the Pyrex stuff. That's pretty cool. Mistaken Reaper, nice to see you around. Cooked for 3 days for Christmas and it's all gone. The dishes you made and washed. Yeah, that's the worst part about cooking is having to clean up the mess afterwards. Yeah, you never ever loan out your kitchen stuff because lids get broken. I mean, it's a shame. Yeah, eBay would probably be your best bet to find something like that just on its own. You'll search for a Pyrex double boiler, and I'm sure it'd come right up. Let me scroll back a little bit. Where do you say I get most of my Pyrex? Most of this I found in secondhand shops. I think I had to get the handle for the handle. I had to get this off of eBay because the handle that came with there was a couple of these, but it was broken. I mean, there was just barely a little stub of glass left, and this is all bent to hell. So I just got a new handle off of eBay. But the locking handle thing, I still got the metal part floating around somewhere. If I ever come across a handle that worked for it, I got it. But yeah, I had to get the handle for the interchangeable ones. But most of this, yeah, I got off of got in secondhand shops. Yeah, the amber Pyrex, I've seen that too. Yeah, I think they made most of that in like the 70s. They called it Visions cookware. And yeah, I think that's what that's all about. A pie pan like that. Yeah, you could definitely use, especially that smaller one. That'd make a pretty nice little pie pan. Or if you want to make a deep dish pan, the deeper ones would work pretty cool. You've never seen the Pyrex teapot? Yeah, I mean they're a slick little deal. They're great for warming up broth or soup or something like that. I use them quite a bit when I reconstitute my portable soup and use it for broth or something else because you can just put it in there and let it simmer slow. Because the portable soup can take a while to dissolve, and you can just go ahead and make up a teapot full of it and let it simmer slow on the wood stove, and it works really nice for that. Let's see here. I would do. That was your sister that broke it. Well, you can get mad at your sister. You can turn around and break something of hers. Serve her right. Found your lid at a thrift store. Yeah, like I said, most of this stuff I got at thrift stores. Broke your split and maul handle and give them the guilt trip. Yeah, kids usually tend to find a way to break axe handles and splitting maul handles if you got them working on the wood pile. Gail Hooper, good evening to you too. Put yourself up for adoption. Let's see here. Bet they're easy to clean. Yeah, Pyrex cleans up pretty easy. But I have some Pyrex bread pans too, and they work really nice. Especially in like an electric oven. It seems like they let more of the infrared light from the heating elements in, and it browns them up real nice. So I really like them, and things don't stick to Pyrex very much. Just grease them a little bit, and they work great for bread pans. Got to go. Traffic is bad. Traffic is bad. Help them see the way home. Maybe back after it's over. Okay. Well, we'll see you, Debbie. Yeah. I went to look at what you had because you had no idea your definition of a hoarder. Yeah, Pyrex is a dream to clean. How's my weather? A lot better than it was. It's going to be in the 20s and 30s here for the next week or so, and probably no snow. A couple of days ago it was below zero and a 40-mile-an-hour wind, so it's a little bit of a improvement. But at least we got a space between the snow and the big wind this last time around. We got like 5 inches of light powdery snow, and then the wind picked up and blew that all over the place. But it would have really been nasty if it would have snowed while the wind was in. But there's quite a bit of drifting and roads getting drifted shut around, so it wasn't too much fun, but it wasn't all that bad really. You break glass too much. We got hit without really cold weather in Indiana. Yeah, I mean it kind of yeah, I mean it was fairly cold. I mean it wasn't all that cold. The highs were around zero, but it only got down to about 10, 12 below for the lows at night. So that wasn't too bad. The wind was a bit much if you had to be outside though. Break her cell phone so she can't call to borrow something else. Yeah, that's a good way to prevent any future problems of things getting broken. Barkeeper's friend is what I used to clean. Yeah, that works, but oven cleaner works real good. Like on the coffee pots, the bottoms of the coffee pots on the outside will eventually get buildup on them because you always dribble a little bit and it manages to get itself under the bottom and get burned on. But oven cleaner really works good for those. Yeah, the drifting here was awful. Yeah, I had to work a double shift on Christmas morning, and driving in there was one road, one of the county roads. There was a spot about a good mile and a half where there was waist height drifts blowing across it. There was just enough on the other lane where you'd get through without it being too bad, but you wouldn't be able to bust through on the lane I was supposed to be in. That was Christmas morning. They finally got that plowed out by the time I had to go home. Of course, I had to go home at 11 at night. I worked a double shift. Yeah, 38 below 2 days ago, 35 today. Yeah, that's the joys of living in the north. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. February wasn't all that long ago. It was 40 below, and then within I think it was 38 hours, it was 70 for a couple of days, and then it was back down to more normal temperatures. But you get weird swings like that sometimes. I did a side-by-side bread bake yesterday, Anchor Hocking Glass versus Lodge Loaf Pan. It was a tie, but the Lodge cleaned up better. Yeah, see, I never had any problems with my Pyrex glass ones. Once the bread cools a little bit, you just pull right out off the side and you can lift the loaf right out of there. I never had any problem with them sticking. And clean them up, just once they're cooled, just wipe them out and you're good to go. Spring's just around the corner. There's no such thing as spring in Wisconsin. You go from winter to summer. I mean, you might get maybe 3 days of spring, and they're not going to be 3 days in a row either. Where's the puppy? He's sleeping over there again. He's been wandering around all day, so decided now's the time to sleep. Had a hell of a time getting your truck to start. Yeah, it can be a pain when it gets cold. I mean, even plugged in, sometimes things just ain't gonna start, especially diesels. Even with glow plugs and you got a block heater in them, diesels can really be a bitch to get started once you start getting down around 15, 20 below. And it gets cold enough, they just ain't going to do anything because the fuel will gel up on them. And there's only so much additives or winter blends of diesel fuel. There are only so far you can go with that sort of thing. What I used to do quite a bit when it was still easy to get a battery out of a vehicle. I mean, nowadays battery's buried and it's got a million things on top of it. I used to just bring the batteries in at night when it was cold out because it makes a huge difference, the temperature of a battery. You got a battery that's room temperature compared to one that's at 0 degrees. The one that's room temperature will have many times the power that the cold one will. Fred, 80 degrees Christmas Day, now it's raining. Well, you get that in California, Robin. Yours is the battery cable, positive gone loose, yeah. But yeah, it used to be, no big deal. You just flip off a couple of clamps on the battery and bring it in. But nowadays there's a cover on it, and it's usually buried way down in a corner with 4 other things you got to take off to even get to it anymore. I used your wood stove today, made some chicken and dumplings for the family. That sounds good. I'm going to make some, I got a pack of chicken gizzards and a pack of chicken hearts. So I'm going to fry up some innards here once they're thawed, once we get done here. Charge you more than usual because your battery is in a crazy place. Yeah, I mean, new cars the last 10, 15 years, it's just insane getting to the battery on them. Even to jump start them can be a pain in the ass. I mean, some of them, they do have made provisions where you can at least get a clamp on the positive cable on to jump it. But yeah, I mean, it's just not gonna. I mean, it's just a pain in the ass now. Husband heard you from last week talking about working outside in the weather. You the man. Yeah, I mean, there've been plenty of times I had to work outside all winter. Drag yourself out there when it's 35 below and actually do something all day long. Yeah, it's no fun. Yeah, you remember that? Had 65 below that year. 30 to 40 below is normal for you, but from 38 to 35, a 63-degree jump. Yeah, I mean, it was damn near 100-degree swing in temperature in a day and a half. From 30 below to 70 above. It was just crazy. Yeah, wearing light jackets and shorts. Yeah, anytime it gets above about 25 in the winter, everybody's running around in t-shirts for the most part. It makes you glad that the doctors took your driver's license. You haven't had chicken and dumplings in years. Snow's down to about 2 feet after days melt off. I'm not sure exactly what we got for snow out there right now. A couple of feet probably. Well, maybe more like 1.5 feet. I don't think it's nearly that much. But 2 weeks ago we got that big storm with all that heavy wet stuff. It really busted a lot of trees. I got a couple of mulberry trees that are down in my yard. Once it comes spring, I'll see what's going to survive from them. Mulberries they grow like weeds, and they're constantly dropping branches. They're sort of a pain in the ass, really. But we'll see what survives and what comes back. I'm not too worried about losing them. I still got some. Modern technology for you. Don't take your batteries out. If you can, it makes a big difference. I mean, or like a tractor battery. I mean, usually you can get at those, and if you know you're going to get a big snow and then a big drop in temperature, if you can pull the tractor battery out so it's good and hot when you got to go out and fire up and try and plow with it, it definitely helps. Have you seen a Lodge Cook at all? It's a Dutch oven wok griddle grill. Yeah, I've seen those. They're pretty popular things. You can usually, I think the newer wok ones, yeah, it's the lid is like a grill on one side, a griddle on the other. And a Dutch oven, everything all built into one. They're pretty slick. Where does Brenda live? Siberia. Yeah, not far from it. It's out there in North Dakota, Montana type country. Oh, got the itchy nose. They get a little bit worse out there than we do here because at least around here we got the trees to break up the wind. So you don't get that. Don't get it nearly as bad as out there in the big wide open. Your home is in North Dakota, but you winter in your home is in Wyoming, but you winter in North Dakota for my job. Yeah, I mean, out there on the prairie, you get a bit more of a breeze going. There's nothing to break up before it gets there. Yeah, having trouble had putting a starter in made a huge difference. Yeah, I mean, starters can make a big difference too. But it can be damn tough to spin a diesel over fast enough when it's cold to get them to start. Yeah, hot Louisiana gets cold, but not cold. Do you ever think I'll take my camera out to the smoker and smoke a Packers cut brisket? Maybe. Yeah, I really wanted to smoke some fish, but I didn't get a damn thing. Must have missed the sucker run this spring. I'll get him eventually, and because I really like smoked sucker, sucker and red horse, and basically different types of carp. And spring is the best time to get them when the water is cold. They get kind of mushy in the summertime. They get soft and they tend to get a little muddy tasting too. But in the spring, they're really good. Itchy nose means you'll kiss a fool. I probably will eventually, or at least the person kissing me will. I had a 45 below wind chill for a few days. Yeah, it's fairly common around here to have wind chills like that because when it gets down below zero at all, it doesn't take a whole lot of a breeze to really drive the wind chills down. Sucker has a lot of little bones. Not too bad. I mean, you always got to deal with bones. They're great pickled too because when you pickle fish, it'll pretty much dissolve those little bones. Like northern, yeah, 38 below. Wind chill is 55. It's not bad for 38. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, like I say, when you get well below zero, you don't need a whole hell of a lot of breeze to really get the wind chill down. Pucker up. Now, Robin, what have I told you? Don't be getting out of hand now. Yeah, sucker has a northern pike. We always just call them northern. But they have Y bones in them. And I used to know how to fillet them out, but it's been years. So since I've done a whole lot of fishing, and I don't really remember how to do it without really mangling them. But they're really great for pickling because then you can just let those bones dissolve. You don't have to mess around with them. Shut up, Mud. Shut up, you too, Robin. Yeah. Learning since your back surgery that you can't handle the cold. Yeah, that'll definitely tighten you up if you got something bad. Do you have to let carp swim in a bathtub for a couple of days to get impurities out? I never heard of doing that. I mean, I suppose you could, but usually it's best to get them in when the water is cold, because the meat's a lot firmer and they taste a lot better because they do get a muddy taste to them, and the meat is a lot softer when it's warm out. I never heard of letting them swim in a bathtub for a couple of days, but I suppose you could. Poopy pants Mud. Robin, I'm just going to have to come out there and give you a good whacking. I gave you a spanking, but you probably enjoy that a little bit too much. And it defeats the purpose of punishing you. My face is just itching all over, eyebrows, nose, everything, and driving me nuts. I don't know why. Probably got some dust in my face when I was shoveling ashes out of the wood stove earlier, maybe. Smoked carp is great. Yeah, I mean, I love smoked carp, pickled carp, suckers, red horse, all them sort of things. What I want to try and do is work out a decent recipe for canning pickled beef. There's no real information on it. Normally, beef you'd have to pressure can it for like 90 minutes for a quart, or I think it's 70 minutes for a pint for most meats. But with pickled beef, I tried it. I pickled the beef first, had it in the fridge in a nice brine for a couple of weeks, and then I pressure canned it. And it tasted great, but it was a bit mushy. I mean, it was a little bit too soft for my taste. The texture was kind of off. So I think what I'll do next time is I'll try and just I'll still process it for the full time that you would for meat. But I think what I'll do is I'll just put it in the jar and put the brine in there with it instead of pickling it at first, and see if that improves the tape. Old timers will talk about letting lake carp that were huge swim in a trough for a couple of days and then take out the mud bean. Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, I've heard people with like clams and mussels and things like that, put them in water for a few days and kind of let them flush the sand out a bit. And another thing you really got to do with a lot of bottom feeding fish like carp and catfish, it's a good idea you hang them head up while they're still alive, and you cut their tail off and you let them bleed out, and that really improves the taste. Is pickled beef the same as corned beef? No. Corned beef is basically salted beef with they call it corned beef because they used to use what they called barley corn salt to pack it in. It's great big grains of salt like rock salt. And they usually put saltpeter in it, potassium nitrate as a preservative too, and and spices. Where, pickled beef is be like pickle and vinegar, which is what I was aiming for. Can't wait to have corned beef and cabbage on New Year's. It does sound good. I mean, I make pretty good corned beef. I use a dry method instead of putting it in a tub of brine to corn it. I just use a dry method where you salt and season it and put it in the fridge, and you flip it over every few days, and it draws the juices out, and you kind of corn it in its own juice. Soak fish in salt water overnight and takes the mud taste out. Yeah, that would work too. Catfish are awesome. Yeah, I like catfish, and we've got a lot of the lakes around here got bullheads in them. Down south, I think they call them mud cats. They're a catfish type of fish. They usually get about like that, fairly small. I mean, some you can get them up to 18, 20 inches. I've seen some pretty big ones, but a lot of the lakes around here are just loaded with them, and those are real good eating. The chance like hanging out at a bar with somebody's. Well, I hope so. Yeah, I'm glad people like it. Do y'all have flathead catfish? Around here, we have mostly channel cats in the rivers, and like I said, there's bullheads in a lot of the lakes around here. How do you use pickled beef? Just eating it. It was just something I kind of wanted to try. Uh, it's pretty. It would be pretty similar to sauerbraten because that's what sauerbraten basically is pickled pot roast. You put it in a pot with vinegar and your spices and kind of pickle it for about a week or so before you roast it in the oven. You had a fish trough when you were growing up. They did put fish in there for a couple of days. You don't eat carp, so you never thought about it. Huh. But I was thinking of using it, it's kind of more like a snack meat, cutting it into strips and, cutting it into strips and pickling it up because I like pickled foods. I mean, I've had, you go to most bars around here, and on the back bar, they'll have jar pickled eggs, pickled turkey gizzards, pickled sausage, things like that. And I was just going to see if I could make some, pickled beef strips. Like I said, it tasted pretty good, but pickling it first and then canning it, came out just a little bit too mushy. But I think just doing just putting it raw in the jar and the brine in the jar with it raw and canning it all in one step, I think that might do it. You've only caught blues and channels. I think there are some blues in the river, but they're not real common. And like I said, it's mostly channel cats around here. Use rock salt to clean cast iron. Yeah, it works. I mean, it's a lot of people do that. It's got enough abrasiveness to it that'll knock off anything that's stuck on. Use bullhead catfish as bait to catch flathead catfish. Get really big. Not uncommon for us. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that fish in the Mississippi that they'll use bluegills for bait for the same thing for fishing big catfish. Yeah, the one-stop processing makes more sense. That's what I was thinking. I mean, I want to I'll have to get a little beef roast and cut it up and see how it works out. Used to put snapping turtles in the big trough for a few weeks to clean them out and feed them whole corn. Yeah, I hadn't heard about most people that do snapping turtles. They just cut their head off and let them hang for a day or so they bleed out good. I hadn't heard about putting them in a trough. But like I said, I suppose it worked. Feed them whole corn. The only pickled meat you use pickled bologna. They don't have it out there. Look at you like you're crazy when you mention it. Yeah, once in a great while you'll find pickled heart, which is really good. It's just sliced up beef heart that's been pickled. Try a tougher cut of beef too. Yeah, I think I just used round last time. So that should have been tough enough. Now you want some fish. Yeah, I've never really been big into ice fishing. Yeah, I mean, I go out every once in a great while, but yeah, I'd have to be pretty desperate for fish to go boring a hole in the ice to chase after the little bastards. You want some fish too. You eat bluegill. Catfish can have a bit of smoked bacon and a field corn kernel. Yeah, a lot of bluegills. Probably one of the best eating fish for panfish is perch. Get quite a few of them. Pickled pig's feet. Oh, you betcha. Pickled pig's feet, pork hocks. Those are all real good. Those are a staple bar food in Wisconsin. Pretty much anything pickled around here, people love it. Pig's feet, pork hocks, eggs, turkey gizzards. Pickled turkey gizzards are real good. Pickled Polish sausage, little pickled Polish sausages. See a lot of those. Debbie made it home. That's good. Love those trotters. Yeah, people look at you like you're nuts when you say, "Oh, making pig's feet." Oh, either pickled or there's a lot of ways you can cook them up. And chicken feet. Try a flank steak. Those are tough. I'll do that. I'll get her worked out eventually. But yeah, pig's feet, and a lot of people make chicken feet around here. It's big with a lot of Polish families. There's a lot of Poles around here, and people look at you like you're nuts. You start gnawing on a chicken's foot, but they are pretty good. I haven't made them myself, but I have eaten them. Having pickled beets tonight. I like pickled beets. Like I said, pretty much anything pickled. I don't really like sweet pickles too much. They're okay once in a while, but I prefer sour pickled stuff. You ever have Hassenpfeffer? No, I haven't. Well, no, I take that back. The wife did make it for me once. It's pretty good. She was real good at it. Of course, anytime anybody mentions Hassenpfeffer, all you can think about is the Bugs Bunny cartoon. This Hassenpfeffer sure tastes a lot like carrots. Yeah, cold beer and a pickled egg. You betcha. That, and hopefully this year I'll have my act together enough that I can make some crock pickles again. I'm out of them, and my last batch lasted me 2 or 3 years. But I was going to make some last summer. And I didn't plant any pickles because planting cuke's kind of a pain because I'm never around to pick the damn things when they're ready. Seemed like, but maybe this year I will be. In the local farmers market, I kind of missed the season on them. So, but hopefully this year I'll be able to get them done. And crock pickles are basically you put pickles in a crock and you ferment them first, and then you can them up. And they're really good, especially if you put plenty of pickling spices and dill in them, because nothing smells quite as good as fresh dill. Delicious pickled beets. Pickled beets, that with fish or salmon patties, delicious. Yeah, that really does sound good. Yeah, your broccoli didn't do well this year. Yeah, I didn't even plant a garden this year. Well, I planted a few squash, now that I think of it, but I didn't even plant a garden last year because I ended up planting some apple trees in my garden because I had to fence them off to keep the deer from eating them. And I had a fence around my garden already, but I cleared a spot behind it a bit, and I'll start working that up and probably end up making a garden out of that and expand my fence, keep the deer out of the garden. Do I have my own chickens? Not anymore. We used to have chickens years ago, and they were mostly banties. Well, they were all banties, and we just let them run wild. I mean, they weren't free range; they were feral, and they were a blast. Every year we'd have a big chicken hunt because banties are notorious for just nesting out anywhere they can, and they'll hatch out tons of chicks. Well, towards the end of the fall, you got tons of extra roosters, and you never be able to round the little beasties up. So we're out running around 22s shooting chickens come fall. It was good rifle practice for deer season, and you end up shooting 70, 80 roosters, get rid of all the extras. $5. Thank you very much, Brenda. It's always nice to have super chats. Keeps me in bourbon and cast iron, and there's nothing better than being in bourbon and cast iron. Struggled with your garden. Going to work on it more this year. Deer are an issue here too. Yeah, they're a pain in the ass to keep out sometimes. Electric fence works good. Electrified barbed wire is the best, and put in like three strands of electric barbed wire usually keeps them out, but every now and then they'll go ahead and get a good run, jump over the top of it anyway. Our chickens quit laying in the winter. Ours slowed down quite a bit, but they never really did quit entirely laying. That sounds like fun. Yeah, it was a riot because you try to shoot them in the head with a 22, and the banty's head is about the size of your thumb, and you couldn't usually get within 25, 30 yards of them. So they're out there popping away with a 22 trying to take these chickens out. It was quite a bit. It was quite a riot. Do I have a good fermented pickle recipe? Yeah, I do. I don't have it handy. I'll try and remember to dig it out for the next show, and share it with you. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a show next week. I know I'm working Monday. I'm pretty sure I'm working days. I hope so because I was off. You won't have the new schedule posted until I'm back to work actually, and pretty sure that I work Monday during the day. At least I hope I do because that's when I'm going to show up. But I'm not sure what I'm doing Tuesday. I'm working, but it should be Mondays or days the whole week, but maybe not because of recovering from the holidays. Because getting time off and all that sort of thing. If you can find, wait a minute here, skip that on me. Evan Williams single barrel, you may want to get it. Can't get it anymore unless you're in Kentucky. I'll keep an eye out for it. Sounds good. You got lots of electric fencing equipment. Good advice. Yeah, I mean they usually learn not to mess with the electric fence. And yeah, I'll see if I can dig my pickle recipe out. Ideally, you can use some grape leaves in it. If you don't have any grape leaves around, you don't need them, but it helps to keep them. They're not going to be really crunchy, crispy pickles, because they're fermented. But the grape leaves help to keep them from getting too soft, and it also helps to kick the fermentation off a little faster too. So if you got grapevines around, definitely want some grape leaves in your fermented pickles. In the crock when you're pickling them, you don't can the leaves up with them though. I got corn crib wire around the garden to keep the deer out. Yeah, I mean sometimes you got to go to extremes to keep them damn things out. Neighbors having a great time with your 185 proof vanilla on Christmas Eve. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I got to strain out that cinnamon extract that I was making because it's ready to be strained out, and you can't leave the cinnamon sticks in it too long, otherwise it'll turn bitter. like if you're making homemade vanilla, you just leave the vanilla beans right in there forever until they fall apart and dissolve entirely. But the cinnamon sticks you'll over extract and you'll start getting the bitter stuff out of the wood. It's been interesting. Pyrex, never knew so much existed. Yeah, and that's, just like I said, that's barely the surface of it. Once you start getting into the colored Pyrex with the patterns and all that, I mean, that's a whole huge rabbit hole you can go down to if you want. Some bottles are going for over 300 now. Oh, I bet. It's kind of nuts what they get for some of the different whiskeys. Whiskeys, wines, anything like that. Connoisseurs will drive you nuts and drive the prices up. And honestly, most of it isn't really all that much better than $30 bourbon. Blackmouth mountain curs to keep the deer out. Well, you got enough dogs running around, they will keep the deer away to some degree. Then again, I've got video of my dog sleeping on the deck with 2 deer watching him, so. Should do a show on pickle and pig's feet. I never tried that. I don't have any handy right now, but that would be kind of a fun show. Daughter made you some vanilla for Christmas, so you have to wait 6 months before you use it. Yeah, you don't really have to go quite that long, but it does take 3 or 4 months before it gets good. Ever had Disaronno? No, not that. It doesn't sound familiar. Most of your lawn is sand. Huge fail last year on the garden. I got the opposite problem. It's pretty heavy soil around here. It's a lot of clay, a lot of silt. It's all glacial till. Whatever didn't wash away when the glacier melted is what I got. It's pretty heavy soil. Can't grow potatoes here. They turn black and hollow on the inside. The soil's just too heavy for them. I could if I wanted to build a sandbox or grow them in straw, something like that. But plant them right in the ground around here, and it just doesn't work for spuds. You get about 10 miles away, there's potato fields because it's sand over there. It's kind of crazy. Said they were fortifying the eggnog. Yeah. 57 dogs. Yeah, that'd probably be at least a couple of them awake to keep the deer away at any time, I guess. But yeah, homemade bourbon vanilla is great. I mean, I've got some that I used Wild Turkey 101, and it's just fantastic. Peanuts ought to grow good there too, where the spuds are. I used to have a neighbor that tried growing peanuts, and he got some out of them, but it's a little bit too cold and it's a little bit too short of a season to really grow peanuts in Wisconsin. Can't believe how expensive apple cider is right now. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't bought any lately, but anyway, it's been just about an hour, so I'm going to wrap this up. Am I warming up clothes on my stove? No, the stove ain't going right now. That's some clothes I'm going to get rid of, donate them to a secondhand store. Probably not Goodwill. I got another one that I got to stop off at tomorrow when I do my running, so going to get rid of them. Finally got a big dresser moved downstairs. I had to fix a couple of the drawers. I got that fixed and moved into the bedroom, so I got a bunch of crap moved out of the bedroom that I got to go through and putting some clothes in the new dresser. I'm sorting some out and getting rid of them. But things are ever so slowly progressing. I've been trying to purge some of the excess junk I got around here, and I've been doing that for probably the last year and a half. Made a lot of progress, but you can still hardly tell because you always end up piling stuff in one spot and moving it somewhere else, and then having to go through it, slowly gaining on it. Eventually, probably by the time I die, I'll actually have things straightened out and squared away in here. Make alcohol, but you don't drink it. Make my vanilla and extracts with it. Use it as a sanitizer. the rest of the family politely dispose of it for you. So thoughtful of them. Well, it's nice to have family that's always looking out for you. But anyhow, yeah, like I said, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm pretty sure I'll be on next week, but I can't guarantee it right now. And I'll try and remember to dig out that pickle recipe, hopefully. But I almost forgot it was Tuesday today too, so can't really guarantee anything. Always find clothes you never knew you had. Yeah, I mean, I've got stuff I don't know where it came from. I mean, it's nothing that I ever bought, nothing that I recognize. I mean, where the hell did these pants come from? I've never seen them before. It's just been me here for the last few years, so I got no idea. 18 large eggs went from $3 to $7.19, $5.68 here for 18. Eggs have been going down around here, so I don't know what the problem is. It's going to bounce around quite a bit. There's always a bird epidemic going around, and heat doesn't do them any big favors either. Anyhow, like I said, enough about eggs, the price of eggs. I'm going to leave you all now. Should be seeing you next week. 98% sure that I will. If I don't, I'll try and let you know ahead of time so you can find something else to do with your Tuesday evening. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you guys later.